I always believed that family came first, even when it hurt, even when it cost me more than I could afford. So when my younger sister Emma got engaged, I stepped up because that's what big brothers do. She had always been the center of attention, smart, beautiful, a natural charmer. Her fiancé, Daniel, seemed like a decent guy, a bit too polished, maybe, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Emma loved him, and that was all that mattered. But the engagement party? That was a different story. It was extravagant, held in a private garden venue with custom lighting, handcrafted decor, and a catered dinner for 80 guests. Everyone assumed it was funded by Daniel's family, or maybe even Emma's own savings. In truth, it was me. She had called me weeks before, crying. We're short on the down payment for the venue. Daniel just got laid off, and I don't want to cancel everything. I didn't hesitate. I dipped into my emergency savings, nearly $12,000. I even paid the bakery up front for that ridiculous 5-tier cake she had her heart set on. I never asked for credit. I just wanted her happy. On the day of the engagement party, I gifted her a custom necklace, delicate, with her birthstone. Cost me about $60. I couldn't afford more after draining my account for her big night. I thought she'd understand, but I was wrong. She opened it, took one glance, and laughed. Wow, Liam, did this come from the clearance rack? The room froze. A few people chuckled nervously. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. It's a thought that counts, right? She rolled her eyes. You could have tried a little harder. Daniel smirked beside her, saying nothing. That was the moment something snapped inside me. All my sacrifices, my quiet generosity, it meant nothing. And she humiliated me over a price tag. I said nothing that night. I simply smiled, nodded, and clapped during the toasts. But the next morning, I made some quiet moves. I canceled the final catering payment that hadn't been processed yet. It was still pending. I called the decorator and rescinded the last-minute flower order I'd added for the reception table. Non-refundable? Fine, but I wasn't going to clean up her mess anymore. Then I reached out to a friend, one who worked in real estate, and asked him to look into Daniel. What he uncovered shook me. Daniel wasn't just unemployed. He'd been fired for inappropriate conduct. And, worse, there were whispers about him seeing another woman, a colleague, someone he'd stayed in touch with even after being let go. I didn't want to believe it, so I followed the whispers. A few days later, I saw it with my own eyes. Daniel, cozy, at a cafe, his hand brushing another woman's wrist like he had no fiancé waiting at home. I took a picture, just one. Then I sat with it, debated for days. Then, finally, I sent it to Emma. No caption, just the image. She didn't reply, not for hours. Then, late that night, a message came. Is this real? I simply answered, yes. She confronted him. Of course. He denied it at first, said it was just a friend. But the evidence piled up quickly. Emma spiraled, furious, heartbroken, humiliated. I visited her the next day. She sat on her couch, mascara streaked down her face, clutching the necklace I gave her. I'm sorry, she whispered. About the gift, about everything. I didn't know you paid for all of it. I didn't rub it in. I just sat beside her and said, now you know who really had your back. She canceled the wedding 2 weeks later. She's different now, quieter, more thoughtful. As for me, I've learned something important too. Sometimes silence is the most powerful revenge, not to hurt, but to let the truth speak louder than anything else. A month passed. Emma moved back in with Mom and Dad temporarily. She wasn't the same bubbly, oblivious girl who once obsessed over venue themes and centerpieces. She'd stopped posting on social media entirely. No filtered selfies. No couples brunch snapshots. Just silence. And for once, she listened. We talked late into the nights. About childhood. About how I always bailed her out. How she thought I just had it all figured out. So nothing ever affected me. But I told her the truth. I don't have it all together, Em. I just hide it better. She nodded slowly, tears running silently. It was the first time in years she really saw me. Not just as her older brother, but as a human being with his own bruises, his own breaking points. And then came the part she dreaded, the truth about Daniel. More women came forward, 2, maybe 3. A tangled web of affairs he juggled while planning a future with her. Apparently, he had a pattern. Charm, promises, seduction, then ghosting them once the novelty wore off. Emma had been another notch on his belt, another trophy until she became inconvenient. It shattered her, not because she still loved him, but because she realized just how blind she'd been to everything. And, to me, I let him talk me into thinking you were controlling, she confessed one night. He said you were jealous of him, that you were trying to undermine our plans. I laughed bitterly. So I paid for everything to sabotage you? I know. I was stupid, she whispered. No, I said gently. You were in love. There was a long pause. Then she looked up at me, eyes raw. Do you think I deserve what happened? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached into my wallet, pulled out the receipt from the jewelry shop, proof of the $60 necklace. Then from my pocket, the final quote I'd never submitted to caterer, the one for $3,700 I had silently planned to cover. I placed both in front of her. You didn't deserve what he did to you, I said. And slowly, piece by piece, she began rebuilding. Then one afternoon, a small package arrived at my apartment. No name on the front, just my address. Inside was a navy blue box with a sleek watch. Nothing flashy, just classic and elegant. Tucked beneath it was a handwritten note. For the time I never gave you credit. For the time you spent saving me from myself. Thank you. Emma, I stared at that note for a long time. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about being seen. Finally being acknowledged for what you gave, even when no one applauded. My sister and I are closer now than we've ever been. She doesn't mock cheap gifts anymore. Because now she knows some of the most valuable things in life come with no price tag at all. About 2 months later, Emma asked to meet me at a quiet coffee shop. She looked more composed, no more red eyes or broken expressions, just a strange stillness. I'm meeting him today, she said, stirring her untouched drink. Daniel. I asked, surprised. She nodded. He asked for one last conversation. Closure, he called it. I leaned back. You sure that's a good idea? I don't know, but I need to look him in the eye. I need to know I can stand in front of a man who humiliated me and not feel like I'm about to fall apart. She wasn't seeking revenge. She wasn't planning a dramatic scene. She wanted freedom. So I offered her what I had left to give, my silence and my support. That evening, she met Daniel at the park where he'd proposed. Poetic, really. He tried to spin the same tired story. That the other women meant nothing, that he was confused, that losing her made him realize what he'd had. Emma listened, calm, poised, and then she pulled out her phone. I want you to see something, she said, pressing play on a recording. It was him, months earlier, a voice note he'd accidentally sent her, meant for someone else. The laughter, the mockery, her name used like a joke. He paled. She didn't say a word. Just watched him as the truth hit him like a slow burn. And when the message ended, she stood up, brushed invisible dust from her jacket, and said quietly, I deserve someone who doesn't talk about me like I'm disposable. He opened his mouth to respond, but she was already walking away. No tears, no screaming, just dignity. When she told me what happened, I didn't say much. I didn't need to. She was finally seeing her worth without needing applause for it. Months passed. Emma moved into a small studio of her own, started freelancing in digital design, something she'd once only considered a hobby. She cut her hair short, something symbolic. She said, a clean break from the past. As for me, I got my savings back, not through her, but over time, through focus and discipline. And something unexpected happened too. One evening, while attending a networking event, I met someone, Claire, kind eyes, sharp wit, the kind of person who noticed things others missed, like how I kept checking my phone, or how I hesitated before talking about family. She didn't need grand gestures. She just listened, and that's all I needed. Emma met her a few weeks later. For the first time, she didn't joke, didn't mock. She just smiled genuinely. She's good for you, she said. And you deserve that. Funny how things shift. How one moment of disrespect, a mocking laugh over a $60 gift, can unravel years of imbalance, and in doing so, rebuild something stronger. Now, whenever I would watch Emma gift me, I remember not the pain, but the growth, the journey from betrayal to clarity, from silence to strength. And I realize this. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge isn't ruining someone else. It's helping the one who underestimated you discover their own strength, and walking away with your head high,